Everybody, welcome to another episode of the Fair Chase Podcast. Before we start this episode, we're going to again take a little time to thank a little bit of the people who help make this show possible.
First up is 2O Gear. It's a new brand that we just started partnering with. They make awesome high-end technical hunting clothes, camo. And so they're based in Michigan, and new company. We've tested them for months. I tested them in the whitetail season last year.
Great merino base layers.
Yep, great
awesome
merino
shells.
base.
Awesome new pattern.
A great system for going out west, but we'll use it a ton in the whitetail woods too. So really excited to work with them. 20gear.com. Go check them out. Next up is Worldwide Trophy Adventures. It's an awesome, basically, connection to outfitters all over the world. So as a lot of people know, good hunting ground is really hard to come by. And oftentimes the best way to ensure that you're going to get in a good spot, or maybe you need to legally have a guide, is to go through an outfitter.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as you might know if you've heard us before, we've had good experiences and bad experiences with outfitters. Which means, in order to ensure you're going to have a good experience, you have to do a ton of research, you have to talk to people, it's just a lot of messing around. Worldwide Trophy Adventures, or WTA, does a lot of this work for you at no charge. So by booking your trip through WTA, you can rest assured that you'll be in a good location with a reputable outfitter that they've certified and endorsed. If you're looking to book a trip of a lifetime like I am, just headed to a moose hunt here through WTA, you're going to want to check them out. Go give them a call. Actually, I have the number right here. It's 1-800-346-8747, or check out their website at worldwidetrophyadventures.com.
All right, so we love Trophy Line. They offer more than just saddles. Believe it or not, they have their own climbing sticks. They've got platforms. They've got a ton of extra
packs.
Gear. They've got packs. They've got everything.
Knee pads.
Everything that you're going to need to be a saddle hunter, they have it. So if you want to start saddle hunting this year and get into the game like everyone else and really love hunting even more, go to Trophy Line, check it out, use the code TFC10 to save yourself 10% on that purchase.
We're big bow hunters. Sights, quivers, stabilizers, those kind of things are really important if you're going to have a deadly setup. And so we've tried a lot of different companies in the industry, and we've kind of figured out that we really like Redline gear the best. So we are shooting their torch sights this year.
It's a really cool sight. There's a lot of good micro adjustments you can make. You can customize a lot of the stuff on there. Really make it your own.
The chargeable USB rechargeable light is
really
sweet.
Cool.
And so we're huge fans of their stuff. We use them all the time. It's worth going to check them out. Check out Redline. Use the promo code TFC10 for 10% off your purchase, and let us know what you think. We love them. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Fair Chase Podcast. Just a reminder for everybody listening, we're coming up on the end of the Christensen Arms kind of gear giveaway. So if you don't remember, basically, you go to their website, you buy a rifle. They're the kind of the makers of the first carbon fiber barrel back in 1995. And from now till October 31st, if you buy an eligible Christensen rifle and send their team a simple form with your original receipt, they'll verify your purchase and give you a gift card for up to $750 to their online store. So things like Christensen accessories and things from brands like Leupold, Mystery Ranch Half-Face Blades, Uncharted Supply Company, and more. So go to christensenarms.com to learn more and take advantage of this incredible offer. All right. So I am glad to talk to you today, George. Last time I saw you, I don't know if you remember this, you had 2 giant bucks in the back of your pickup truck in Kentucky.
Yep.
Kind of a heck of a night.
That was one to remember for sure. So in Kentucky, we got to tell everybody that you're only allowed 1 buck, but they do issue 10 commissioner tags a year. Those commission tags go to nonprofits, and then it's up to the nonprofits to raise money by auctioning them, selling them straight to somebody, raffle them, however it goes. And I try to buy one of those every year because I like to kill deer. And
good cause too. Yeah.
But that was definitely a hunt to remember. I mean, 2 minutes apart, I shot a 186 was the first buck, and then the second buck was 146, 148, and literally shot them 2 minutes apart out of the same stand. So
the 180 class buck, that was probably the largest deer I've seen, like dead in the back of someone's truck type of deal. That was an insane
Yeah.
deer.
Yep. Yep. And
Um,
so I got another commissioner tag this year. I hope to be able to do the same thing, but I doubt that'll happen.
I mean, you did it once. Why not do it again?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah. So, for everybody who doesn't know, last year headed to Kentucky, did some hunting down there with a bunch of guys and gals. I think there was a few gals there, and had a great time down at your place, George. For people who don't know who you are, you want to introduce yourself and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is George Cummins. I am I created Buck Bourbon, and I started Salt River Outfitters about 15 or 16 years ago. I've been running that for several years, which Buck Bourbon's now taken off so big that I've had to hand over the outfitting business, and now Joey Cheap runs that for me. And Buck Bourbon is pretty much my full time gig now, just creating new products, selling the products that I have created, and just making these relationships, and this business, everything's built on relationships.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. So, Buck Bourbon's kind of an interesting idea. You want to just talk about what it is? Because when I heard of it, I didn't really understand it, and then when I was down there, I'm like, oh, this is what this is. So you want to
Yeah.
walk through what Buck Bourbon is?
Absolutely. So I'm not really a business guy. I was running the outfitting business several years ago. I decided deer to me are a natural resource. And you've got to have a resource that's replenishable if that's what you're doing for a living. And at the time, I was just feeding straight corn. We are allowed to bait in Kentucky. Corn's, not good for deer. They love it, but it's not good for them. So I was wanting something that would.
Why is it not good for them? What is it?
It's just not palatable. They don't get anything out of it. I mean, it's kind of gross, but what happens when you eat corn?
Comes out the same way it goes in.
Exactly. So they're not gaining anything, from eating the corn. So I wanted to create something that was going to be more beneficial to the deer, but B, also possibly give me an advantage over all of my neighbors, because in Kentucky, we have a lot of small farms. We don't have a lot of 500 acre, 800 acre, 1,000 acre farms. They're 50 acre, 100 acres, 150 acres type farms, and a lot of hunting pressure. So, being from the bourbon capital of the world, I think it's 96% of the world's bourbon is made within an hour or less of my lodge. So all of these byproducts coming from these distilleries, I knew the cattle farmers were just, they were going and getting this stuff, feeding it to their cattle, and I knew if cattle farmers are feeding it, it has to be good for the deer.
Yeah.
Then, the next thing is, okay, how do I make the deer eat it? So I started several different recipes, mash bills, if you want to call them, that failed. I tried this blend, tried that blend. I just couldn't get the deer to eat it. And then all of a sudden, I come up with these two different byproducts that I mixed with it. And I mean, the very first day I put it out, the deer started hammering it. So then I was like, okay, I think we have something. So we started hunting over this product to Salt River Outfitters. It didn't have a name. It was just something I was making in a tobacco barn. And we started killing 180, 190 inch deer over this stuff. And all of a sudden, my neighbors are like, hey, what are you using? What can we buy some? And so it got to the point where I spent more time selling this stuff to locals almost than I was outfitting, and me and my wife decided, maybe we should look at trying to sell this. Maybe we should brand it. Maybe, we should jump out on a limb here and take a chance. And from that point on, it was creating a brand that wasn't just about killing animals, though. That's what I didn't want it to be. I didn't want it to be just what they call a spill and kill product. I wanted it to be a brand. I wanted it to be a brand that represents the lifestyle that we live. And what I mean by that is, in the outfitting business, we live and breathe deer hunting. We farm for deer. It's what we do. We farm for them, just like people farm for cattle or horses. So I want people to be able to experience that lifestyle. And what I mean by that is, we have our own line of coffee. So when you wake up first thing in the morning, hunters meet us around the coffee pots. That is our war room, we call it. That's where we decide.
Yep.
You were in camp with us. That's where we say, okay, it's a south wind. We've got these deer coming in daylight. We can go hunt them with this wind. And everybody enjoys a good cup of coffee before they go out. So it's that simple, but that's part of that lifestyle.
Yep.
All right. And then Then when you go out hunting, you're going to be hunting either if you're gun hunting or bow hunting, possibly out of one of our rack house ground blinds that we created over some of our Buck Bourbon products. We have protein feeds, we have minerals, we have liquids, blocks, attractants, a whole complete lineup of products that you could be hunting over. So that is your throughout the day while you're in camp. You're hunting over these products. Hopefully you become successful. You get to harvest a deer.
Right.
At that point, we've got our own line of knives that we make. So, you got to start processing that animal. So hopefully you're using, one of our Buck Bourbon knife kits or our replaceable blade knives to process this animal. Then you bring it back to camp, and that's where the celebration phase kicks in. That's where everybody's, reminiscing about the day's hunts, the successful ones and non-successful ones. And you get to hopefully consume that animal. You get to eat it that night. So that's where we have our seasonings. We have our own line of Buck Bourbon seasonings also. And that basically gets you through a complete day in the life of an outfitter, a guide, or just a hunter in camp. And all of these products that we've created, whether it's our feeds, whether it is our knives, our ground blinds, whatever we have.
Coffee, it looks like.
I'm sorry?
You said, and coffee too, it looks like. I'm looking at your site.
Coffee. All of these products we have created, we are hunters creating them for hunters. And I know that sounds like gimmicky because, everybody in the hunting industry says they're creating product for hunters, but they may not be hunters themselves. And what I mean by that is climb in a lot of our competitors' ground blinds and you'll notice things that you would do different. So when you set in a ground blind, you're like, well, why wasn't this window 2 inches further down, 2 inches further up, or whatever? And that's what we have done. We have set in those blinds. We've hunted in them our whole life, and we know what we would change, and that's what we've done. I think we've got the best ground blinds on the market for under $200. They have more features than any other ground blind on the market under $200. I mean, we've got one-way mesh, 270 degrees with blackout curtains, so you don't have to worry about getting silhouetted.
Yep.
We have our saloon-style doors, which, if you've never used, are amazing for getting in and out of the blind silently. That's what I wanted, was the most silent, versatile blind on the market, and that's what we have. And then you get to our knife kits, and we've done things with our knives that make it a lot more feasible for you to pack this processing kit in the field with you. Like we have a field processing kit that has caping blade, boning blade, gut hook, bone saw, flashlight for tracking, gloves, everything you need in a little bitty nylon case that you can wear on your hip like a normal pocket knife, or you can just throw it in your backpack. Most of these field processing kits out there are in like a plastic briefcase. Nobody's going to pack that in the field with them. You're going to throw it in your truck, and when you actually shoot that deer, you might be a mile away from your truck. You're not going to go back to the truck to get the processing kit. So that's what we wanted to do, was put all of that stuff in a neat little package that you can pack with you wherever you go. And we do have our replaceable blade knives as well. Our replaceable blade knives have the thickest, strongest blades on the market. So you don't have to worry about popping them off like some of the replaceable blades out there, or breaking them. Really, really safe. The mechanism to replace the blade, it's a lot safer than most knives out there.
Yep. That little latch in the back. Yep.
Yep. And the knives have a really, really textured, rubberized handle, so you don't have to worry about it slipping in your hand, while you're trying to replace that. Because it's inevitable. If you shoot an elk, you're going to have to replace that blade.
Oh, absolutely.
Once you bust through the hide of an elk, they've got so much sand and dirt where they've been wallowing. You're going to dull that knife blade instantly. I don't care what knife it is.
Yeah.
So if you've got blood and guts on your hands, they're very safe to replace that blade. But
that's handy, because I was just doing a moose, and it made my my knife very dull very quick, and I had to sharpen mine in the like as I'm doing it in the field, which is not my favorite, because you're always full of like sticky blood and gunk and mud.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and that's what happens is once you bust through that hide, there's so much sand and dirt in there that you don't see. It dulls that. You may as well rake it across concrete. That's how quick that'll dull a knife.
Yeah, the hair especially. So you've got attractants, you've got blinds to sit in. You've got the coffee for before or during the hunt. Then
Yeah.
when you get home and you shoot a buck, you've got the marinade or the rub or whatever.
Yep.
All right, we're going to take a pause here real quick and just thank a few more guys and companies that help make this show possible. First up is Vortex. We can't say it enough. We love their glass. We love their binoculars, spotting scopes, rangefinders, their apparel. James is rocking a nice little hoodie here. They make awesome stuff. And if you guys are looking to make a purchase at Vortex, go over to their website and use the code TFC20 to save yourself 20% on the next purchase. That's a big, good discount. Use it. Head over there and get something.
A bow makes a man.
Does
and,
it?
Yeah, that's what I was told. And we're big fans of prime bows. Shooting it for years, Michigan-based company. We're shooting their latest Revix series of bows. Mine's that 36 long boy.
I'll generally take a few shots right back here and just.
Yeah, we're huge fans. Smooth, great balance. They're just go check them out. There's tons of technology. One of my favorite things that they have is their grip. Space age technology keeps your hand warm even when it's cold. Highly recommend. Go check out Prime Archery. Finally, Lathrop and Sons boots. Your feet kill animals. Like the more you walk, the more chances you have at getting that big buck, that big elk, moose, whatever it is. Lathrop and Sons have been kind of our go-to boot of choice for a while now. We've put in a lot of miles, taken them all over the place. There's no leaking. It's comfortable. Stephen and James there they're like foot scientists.
They're geniuses. I got messed up feet, and they basically will, you take an imprint of your foot. They'll look at it, look at your arch, how wide it is, how narrow, how long, and they literally build the boot around your foot. So you're not going to a box store and picking up something that you hope is going to fit your boot. These things actually are tailor-made to your foot. So they're super comfortable. Mine, I could walk all day in them. So if you're looking to get a boot, if you're looking for a boot that's made for you and not somebody else, go check out Lathrop and Sons.
So you initially just came out with this. Essentially, you're just coming up with your own feed at one point. But it seems like it took a life of its own. At what point are you like, all right, I guess this is the thing that I'm going to do now, and done with the outfitter side of things and focusing like purely on the Buck Bourbon side? How do you make that jump? Because that's a pretty big jump.
It is, and honestly, it's hard to explain how it happened. I've got a buddy he's got this saying all the time. He calls it living in the fog. Sure. And what that means is living in the favor of God. And I am a believer, and there's doors that's been open for us that shouldn't have been open for us, and I don't know how to explain how they were open for us. So that's what that fog means. Our whole team, I feel like we're living in this fog because it's amazing how if you surround yourself by good people, good things happen. And that's what we've done. And we've got good people in the retail world. We got good people on our team, and we've got good people that have been clients over the years that have helped us, spread this across the nation. And that's the only way. I don't know how to explain it other than, I don't. It was just
I love that.
One day I woke up and I was like, crap, this is a lot of work. I gotta pick one or the other, and the Buck Bourbon seemed like the right path to take at that point.
Yeah, and that's kind of the life of the believer, and of the kind of the person of faith. You don't always necessarily even know how you got to where you're going, but you know that you're faithfully walking that way until you're turned somewhere else. It's kind of an interesting thing. But it's hard to describe the mental process behind making a decision like that, because there isn't always an exact direct route from one point A to point B.
Yep, exactly. There was no. This is not a path I intended to take 8 years ago. I can tell you that. You always dream, and when we were making this to begin with, before it even had a name, I had no intentions of selling it. I just knew I wanted to be in the hunting industry, and I thought outfitting was the way.
Yep.
And it was. I probably wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for the outfitting.
Right.
So that was just another stepping block on getting to where we are.
So you're, it took you a while to develop kind of your own special blend of ingredients for this, this mash. Were you at that point, like talking to distilleries, and like how are you sourcing it from the beginning, like when you started trying to get this stuff?
So at the very beginning, I had some buddies that were actually hauling some of the byproducts to their cattle operation.
Okay.
And I would just go, and I'd be like, hey, I need 500 pounds of this, 500 pounds of that, and then hauled it back to the tobacco barn and I put it in a cattle mixer. Or we actually, one of our products, we started out in a 55-gallon drum with a drill that had a paddle on it. Just mixing this stuff. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was not very technology based in the beginning, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Just kind of figuring it out as you go.
Yeah. I mean, but I never knew it would be this large a scale.
Right.
And it scaled up pretty daggone quick, I will tell you that.
And so since then, you've basically had to develop your own relationships with these distilleries, which, when I was there, we definitely stopped. Where did I stop?
Probably Four Roses, probably Buffalo Trace.
Yeah, Buffalo Trace is where we stopped.
Yeah.
I'm a Four Roses or Buffalo Trace man myself, so both of those are pretty fantastic bourbons.
Yeah. So Four Roses is where I got the very first DDGs from.
Okay.
Because it was my buddy's farms actually surrounded Four Roses, so they were there every day getting these byproducts. So now though, we are on such a large scale that we're getting byproducts from every distillery out there pretty much.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and they're also close. I mean, it's not like you're traveling terribly far for that. No, it was even just the time that we spent there, Jared and I. It was just an amazing place. Kentucky is beautiful. We spent obviously some time, and I shot my deer the first sit. Within the first probably hour, had a really sweet looking 7-point, actually, oddly enough, nice tall and deer. But we spent the rest of the time, Jared and I, we grabbed him a tag and even hunted public land and the Salt River and stuff like that. We're walking around finding fossils and stuff in the riverbed and just cruising for bucks, and just the scenery and like the way that area is just a beautiful, like, whitetail looking place. It's like definitely like a place I'll be back to someday, hopefully, just because like I said, it just screams like this is going to be good whitetail. Good whitetail spot.
God's country. Yeah.
That's right. So you guys, you a big bourbon drinker yourself? Do you have the one side of the product and the other side? Is that
Absolutely. You can't be from Kentucky and not drink bourbon.
Yeah, that's right.
So when you start talking about good bourbons, you can start a fight just as quick as when you're talking about the best broadhead on the market or the best bow on the market, and I tell everybody, good bourbon is just like a good broadhead or a good bow. Go try them all and pick the one that suits you the best. Everybody has different taste buds, so you may like a spicy bourbon, Jack may like a sweet bourbon, and I may like a really hot bourbon, really high proof. So it's just drink them all.
Just don't drink them all at one time.
That's right. And I want to say, Jack, welcome. Jack joined as we were rolling. I didn't want to slow things down, but Jack, you jumped down. Thanks for taking the time and hopping on, man.
For sure, I appreciate it.
You want to give a quick intro to you so people kind of can place you?
Yeah, so Jack Borcherding, work with George and the rest of our Buck Bourbon team every single day. I handle all of the marketing side of things. So from advertising to social media to content to pictures on the website, everything that culminates into a final product that ties into marketing, I help out with in the team. And it really is an awesome team that we've kind of put together, a very small team for as big or as big people think we are. And it's really cool to see how we all work together, and just, we have like this kind of, family where we fight and we work it out and we come out with these great products and, have the sales team work on them to get them out there. And it's really cool when we finally get a product that's like, that.
Well, there's a difference between fighting and like constructive, heated conversations, because
For sure.
you fight and you can fight somebody and it ends badly. But if it's a heated, constructive conversation, Usually that just leads to a better product or a better solution or whatever you're doing. Usually that little bit of is pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
Well,
it is.
what I love about our team is we're not a team of yes men.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. Yes, that's a great idea. Yes, that's a great idea. It's, are you sure we want to do that? You know, or is that the best way to do this? And you know, it's everybody questions everything, and that's good. You know, to an extent, because if it was just a bunch of yes men and yes women, then you know, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be where we are today. You know, because you're exactly right. You have to have that constructive criticism, and you have to have a lot of minds. You know, 5 minds are better than 1 mind when it comes to this creative stuff.
Yep.
And that's the reason why we've been so successful is we have such a creative team. You know, our packaging is probably the best marketing material we have.
Yep.
Because when it's on the shelf, it looks totally different than anything else out
there.
It
looks different and looks cool. And for it, like it will say what proof it is. And when I first saw it, I was like, wait, what is this? You know, 110 proof. That's it's very like it just draws your eye to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've had potential like retailers that we've talked about that like our top shelf food plot seed. He had it on his desk as a sample, and people would walk by his office and they'd stop and be like, "Wait, are you drinking at work? Is that a bourbon?" Like, and
yes, I am.
so you know that little bit of a thing was like, "Wow, that's interesting." Now there's some power in the packaging out there of what it's actually doing, and that's what's nice about our brand and kind of what we've started and tried to do is be very like narrow, right? We have a funnel where if our product still ties in with bourbon, with drinking, that lifestyle, etc., like then the naming might fit there, right? And let's like weave it in there. And so it's really cool to kind of have those guardrails because you see a lot of brands that just make big buckhorn, this and that, sugar beet, this and whatever. And it's just like, yeah, we're not going to be like that. We're going to be who we are and stick to it. And it's nice.
This is, cool. This is now, now it's foreign to me. It wasn't growing up. So Michigan, you can't bait. When I was growing up, and I've talked about this in the podcast before, we could. And so my uncle would go, he had the extra large trailer that he'd take behind his Yukon or whatever. And he'd fill it with, oftentimes there's the whole thing of sugar beets or the reject carrots that looked funny. And he would just dump a pile of it, in the woods. And that was his baiting. What you guys do is a little bit different. Like the Buck Bourbon, you're not dumping 500 pounds of, feed out in the middle of the woods. Like what's when you're using some of this, this attractant, like what does it look like? How big is it? How much you putting out?
So we've got several different products. We have an attractant, which is the 110 proof. That was our flagship product. That's what got us where we are today. There's several different ways to use that. You can dump it straight on the ground. Just, we have an 8-pound bag and a 25-pound bag.
Yep.
You can dump the 8-pound bag straight on the ground, or you can dump the 25-pound bag straight on the ground. But I wouldn't dump more than 25 at a time, because it's got a lot of protein in it. And if you have a lot of protein in any product, when it gets wet, it's not good for it. So if you dump it straight on the ground, I wouldn't do more than 25 pounds at a time. But what we like to do at Salt River Outfitters is we like to take 200 pounds of shelled corn, put 100 pounds in a pile, scatter 100 pounds in a big circle, and then top dress it with the 110 proof. That 110 proof gives it a strong, strong smell. It's got minerals on it. It does have protein on it, so it actually increases the nutritional value of the corn, and it'll bring the deer in from a lot longer distances. And once they find it, they'll stay there a lot longer if you scatter the corn in a big circle. They'll kind of walk around. Deer like to browse by nature. They don't like to just stand in one place and just eat, and gorge themselves. So that's what we do, and we found that works really good. If you're in an area where you can use a big gravity feeder and actually try to farm your deer, where you can feed year round, you're trying to make the deer as healthy as possible, we have a product called Barrel Proof. And that Barrel Proof is 16% protein. It flows really good through gravity feeders. And it is It is 16% protein because we've done a lot of research and found that once you get 18% or higher in protein levels, the deer just don't like it. It's really hard
Huh.
to get the deer to eat them. And honestly, a deer can't process much over 18% protein anyway because he just passes it straight through its system. So we've taken the 16% protein and mixed a lot of other commodities with it that we're basically tricking the deer into eating stuff that's good for them.
Right. I
So,
did that
so
with my kids. My kid growing up, my daughter.
exactly.
Right.
It's the same principle. You know, we're tricking these deer into making them healthier. But that product I personally love. That's what I've killed a lot of my big deer over. Is the barrel proof. You know, and if you know it's not going to rain, you can dump that on the ground, just like a 40-pound bag at a time. You don't want to dump 40 pounds on the ground if you know you're going to get a rain within 24 hours.
Right.
If you have any volume of deer at all, they're going to eat that 40-pound bag overnight. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's
Well,
pretty crazy. And you said Michigan wasn't allowed to bait, but it's funny. Michigan is one of our top selling states.
you see them. It's always for sale, and it's like I know everybody does it. You see it everywhere. It's
Yep.
the worst enforced rule, and which, in my opinion, and is not a. If you're not enforcing a law very well, then it's not a law anymore. But that's neither here nor there.
And what's interesting about it is, you know, I know people in Iowa, Michigan, all over the place, right? You can't bait, but yet they'll go out and they'll mow down an acre of corn and just leave it there,
Yeah.
right? But that's, you know, that's okay. Which so it's so weird, right? But obviously you have to obey your local state regulations, and you know we preach that 100%, right? And that's our tagline of, just like in the the drinking world, drink responsibly. Ours is feed responsibly, right? That's our tagline, you know. And so we want people to obviously obey those state and everything regulations, and they should, and we do. And you know, because they changed that law in Kentucky. You know, you used to be able to start baiting in June or something, George, and now it's back to August 1st. Yeah. So, you know, but a lot of states, you know, you can still feed it as long as you're not hunting over it, and then you have a period of time that once it's gone, you can't hunt over it. So it changes, right? So, you know, this is still great stuff if somebody's trying to, in one of those states, trying to get inventory of what deer are alike on their 40 acres, their 100 acres, whatever it is. It's going to attract them there. You're going to see your potential, what's your herd like, etc. You know, that's what I use it for a lot in western Nebraska, is just, okay, now a deer knows that it's there or there's something there. And I know the deer is around in this general 2-mile radius, right? So it's a great product for all kinds of different things. And that's why we came out with food plot seed too, right?
Right.
So we'd offer something for everybody in multiple states where regulations change.
Well, and it's really interesting. The baiting laws are interesting to me because I'm throwing out mock scrapes and stuff all the time. You know, I'm spraying some synthetic urine smelling stuff that's going to attract deer, and it congregates deer in some way. And I mean, I don't know. It's just like the lines that we draw are interesting. But what I like about the way that you approach it is, I mean, it's not like you're just throwing the cheapest stuff that will get deer in as possible. It's like, no, this is what's actually going to be healthy for you. You're looking at the deer's health. You're looking at what it likes. You're so fine tuned that, you know, anything over 18% protein is they're not going to like it, and figuring out how to get them better minerals, which is, you know, not really the story you hear publicly when people talk about baiting deer. It's like, oh, you know, Joe Schmo drops you know, like my uncle throws a truck bed of corn out and just calls it good and sits over that, and like that's as much thought that's put into it. It seems like the Buck Bourbon products and everything that goes in, there's a lot of thought and actually time spent considering the well-being of the animal that you're chasing.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about one thing that we add to a lot of our products when we can. Have you ever researched the benefits of cinnamon and garlic oils?
No.
So in the cattle industry, cinnamon and garlic oils are proven to reduce the amount of insects by 56%.
Really?
56%. Now think about this. If you can reduce the amount of insects on your deer herd by 50%, what are the benefits? Okay, so first benefit, In the summer months, deer lose 30% of their maximum potential due to stress from biting insects. You have deer flies, horse flies, you've got ticks. I mean, everything that are just wearing these deer out. I mean, think about the summer months when you're scouting.
Yeah,
You see deer in
awful.
the middle of the field, they're constantly, like flickering their tail, their skin, their ears. That's energy that they're wasting.
I
That's
had a
energy that.
cousin who went out in the summer once, got bit by enough mosquitoes, he stopped growing. He's like 4'5". That's where he stopped. Too many bugs, you know.
So those cinnamon and garlic oils have been proven in the cattle industry to do this. So, one, you're reducing stress on your deer. Two, you could potentially help prevent blue tongue.
Yep.
Blue tongue is caused by midge flies biting the deer on the nostrils. Well, if you've got deer that are eating this feed and our minerals with cinnamon and garlic oils in it, they're getting it all over their face. So, in theory, that should help prevent that. We can't claim that because we've not been able to research it in a controlled environment for deer, but I can tell you it has been proven in the cattle industry.
Right.
Another thing that those oils do is it reduces the amount of methane gas buildup in their stomachs by 18%.
Oh, I see.
So
you're really fighting global warming at this point.
Yeah. But what that does is it increases their appetite.
Right.
And when you increase their appetite, you're going to make them bigger, healthier animals all the way around.
Yeah, because otherwise they're full of gas, basically, and you know they're farting and everything else. And if they don't need to get rid of that, they can eat more. That's really interesting.
And it's really cool. So we have George on like the Buck Bourbon farms or whatever. So he feeds a lot of more of the barrel proof stuff. And so Jay Nesbitt, who was on our team, he was down, and I was actually filming him this past, September, and he shot a deer. And Earl Peterson, Mark Peterson's father, shot a deer on a farm that we feed a lot more, barrel proof. Those two deer that we shot in that 2-3 day window, like when we went up to them, they had noticeably lot less ticks, bugs, everything on them. And man, there were other deer that were shot in other counties or, just miles and miles away that we feed a lot more corn. 110 proof still there, etc. And they're just covered in ticks.
Huh.
And it's like, coincidence? Maybe, but probably not.
Right.
Just so we would love to figure out and partner up with somebody to try to test that and really produce results, because man, I think if you could do that, the whole I don't know.
Ticks wreak havoc on deer, man. Like, you shoot every once in a while, you'll shoot a deer that has like a lot of ticks on it, and it's like that is not a healthy deer having that many parasites stuck to you at one time. And ticks are only getting worse, at least by us.
Absolutely. In Kentucky, it's ridiculous. I mean, the amount of ticks we have, and it's we've got pictures and video of deer laying in the piles of barrel proof. Like when we dump it on the ground, we know it's not going to rain. Like, I firmly believe the deer know that helps them. I think they know it helps keep insects off from them.
Huh. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I didn't remember seeing any ticks when we were down there. I do remember at night I was shining my flashlight and I see all these sparkly little like glimmery things in the like the leaves, and I was like, man, are those like shiny like rocks or something? Like, what is that? And I'm just digging around, and I found out those are black widow spiders. They are reflective on the back.
Yeah,
and I was just digging around in spiders. I'm like, what? Why did no one tell me that? Because I'm just like rifling around my hand, and they're like, oh, cool, look at these shiny rocks.
Nope.
Oh man,
not that. No, didn't get bit though. So you tell me. That's sweet. So you guys spend a lot of time, obviously, researching your product and finding, different mixes and so on. So are you constantly working on new stuff? Like, are you working on new products now? Is that how that goes?
Absolutely. I drive my team nuts with all the new products that we try to create. So, I don't give them a chance to finish one product before we're trying to create another.
Yep, I like that.
But everything we do is tested extensively on wild free-range deer in Kentucky. Once it's successful in Kentucky, we ship it elsewhere. We ship it throughout the Midwest, throughout the Southwest. Any place we can feed, we ship this stuff to test it. Because I want to make sure I'm not going to just put our logo, our brand, on anything. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I tell Jack and I tell the team all the time that growing up as a kid, I worked from the time I was 12 years old until currently still working. And, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I bought a lot of my hunting products with my own money that I worked hard for. A lot of those products turned out to be junk, and it pissed me off. Because I'm a kid. It's not like my dad's buying everything for me. I'm working to do this. And before we put our brand on anything, I want to make sure I'm okay with 14-year-old me buying that product with his own money.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's kind of the way we do things. We make sure that it works before we try to sell it. And I think a lot of companies have lost sight of that. There's great big conglomerates that just don't care. They only care about pennies, a penny here, penny there, and they just push products out, and they hope it sells. That's not what we're doing. We're creating good products for the deer and good products for the hunter.
Yeah. You testing anything new out right now?
Oh, yeah.
I won't make you tell me, but I'm just wondering if there's testing going on. I mean, you're in Florida. You're not testing anything right now. You're just in the sun.
Yeah. I have got a lot of product out back home, though, with cell cameras running on it.
Excellent.
But no, we've got 2 or 3 new mixes that we're working on right now. We've got a new food plot mix that I think is going to do really good next year for us. We're testing it out. And then a couple other products I really don't want to go into detail about, but
we'll keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, George, Jack, appreciate you spending time talking a little bit about what you guys do. And George, good to see you again.
Good to see you, bud.
Looks like Kentucky's been treating you well. So for people who are listening and want to check out Buck Bourbon, where can they go? How can they follow what you guys are up to?
Easiest way is to go to buckbourbon.com, the website, to learn about all the different products we have. From there, we have social media pages, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, that we share a lot of different successes from people who are using our products and so on. And it's fun to really see people write reviews of like, man, I had 2 shooter bucks within an hour of putting this out. I've seen the biggest buck that I've never seen before. And it's really cool to see those. And that's across the country, from North Carolina town to Florida to the West, etc. And so, yeah, just get connected with us. We want to hear those success stories. And yeah, the great product to learn about it. And we're going to teach you about it. And we're going to take care of customers.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you both for taking the time. Everybody go check these guys out. They're doing really cool stuff, and definitely putting some big deer down too. So check them out, guys. Thank you again. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Thanks.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to this episode. We really do appreciate it. If you want to go on to any kind of social media platform, give us a like, share, subscribe. It'd really help us out. Keeps the train rolling. And if you guys really like what you're listening here, give us a 5-star.
Either way, even if you don't like it.
Even if you don't like
review.
it, 5 stars.
That'd
Helps
be
everyone
cool.
out.
We'll see you out there.